finance, with local business alliances, with some kind of small-scale local energy. They start looking at making changes to schooling and education. All of these initiatives that are happening are extremely positive.
Yeah, they're extremely positive, but they're also extremely difficult. And you and like I know many of the people working on these, and they come up against obstacles in every single direction, plus terrible publicity because you're doing organic farming and there's E. coli here or some other problem there. All of a sudden, it's supposed to be discrediting an entirely more clean system, or because we're taking care of the topsoil, it's costing a little bit more this harvest, but it will cost less over the next 50 harvests if we have soil that's being replenished rather than soil that we need to go to Monsanto for a chemical in order to get it to grow something that looks like vegetables.
What I would say is that realizing how immense the pressure is in the opposite direction, all those heavy regulations, no help from media, no help from government, no help from anywhere really. I'm amazed at how much is happening. So it's both incredibly inspiring and heartening and a testament to human perseverance and to human will. I really feel this is perhaps the most important thing that I've discovered is that, of course, people want to have connection. Everybody is ultimately, it's about wanting to be
wash off your pesticide with pharmaceutical
millionaires and trillionaires who are motivated to do well.
Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceutical.
All that part does is to lead to envy and separation, and to have contact with the grassroots globally to be
wash off your pesticides.
There is so much more happening
with pharmaceuticals.
I also take part in
with pharmaceuticals.
Enhancing understanding. There's something fundamentally wrong with allowing global multinational brands to exercise so much power. That's a widespread recognition. There's almost no one in the world who would question that. At the same time, I see this global increase in the
wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals.
I also see globally
wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. With pharmaceuticals.
How we could still change things.
Pharmaceuticals.
Becoming local and then becoming irrelevant. So on the one hand, there's people who will criticize me when I'm talking about localism of, oh, well, that.
Yeah. It's really awesome. Team Human is awesome. It is. Team Human is awesome. Awesome. It's a little better. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals.
Thank you to Douglas Rushkoff and Team Human, which you should search for if you use medium.com or twitter.com or almost any podcast platform. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Neurons, I love you. Neurons, I love you. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. They'll give you healthy, crisp, and happy little vegetables. Vegetables. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. No wonder you can't finish the song. Are you doing something wrong? Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Welcome, brave listeners, to this intuitive public radio broadcast room recording. Stop by, say hi, listen to what I'm listening to in ambient time space. Thank you for joining us in this real-time radio resonance compartment. Catch recent live broadcasts by visiting and subscribing to t.me/s/maxmoradio and facebook.com/intuitivepublicradio/live. You can also find us at intuitive.pub/TV. Contact me at intuitive.social/hello/max. Support the work of this intuitive community by visiting intuitive.community/donations. Thank you for listening. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals.
Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals.
Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Do 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 do. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals, pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals. Wash off your pesticides with pharmaceuticals.
Wash off your pesticides
With pharmaceuticals. Azine shared the following. Please find direct links to her posts at intuitive.pub/text at the top of the page. Coming up, broadcast room, April 4th, 2020, Intuitive Public Radio. Old Problems, Newfound Hopes by Azine Steenbergen on Saturday, April 4th, 2020. Can anyone give me an example of a country's government that isn't now more cruel than usual to refugees, to indigenous peoples, to houseless people, to disabled people, to the very young and the very old, to the working class and the financially destitute. That isn't using this time to push laws and changes that otherwise its people would have opposed by the thousands, like privacy breaches, authoritarian coups, attacks on rights of minorities, or killing people by state gun violence, desk murderers, or simply lack of care, with fulfilling the basics like food aid and medical care, and defunding into death. If you can't find a single country without these fatal responses, then please consider that government is part of the problem. Have you noticed the increase in mutual aid, the human instinct of looking out for each other, and how phenomenal it is? How many lives have been saved by solidarity in these times and in ages past? What if we just continued to live that way? I hope that then more problems will be solved up until the moment we dissolve the kyriarchy, and then in the era beyond. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Title: Old Problems, Newfound Hopes. Azine writes, because this has always been my stance, but amidst the draconian rules and catastrophes, I'm seeing more and more people with newfound hopes and vision for a better world. Please find these links in the broadcast room document I'm working in, which you will find at the top of intuitive.pub/text. By indigenousaction.org, published on March 19, 2020, Rethinking the Apocalypse, an Indigenous Anti-Futurist Manifesto. Amy Lilith Graves published this on Telegram. It's been traveling from channel to channel. Find these original messages at t.me/s/intuitivepublicradio/5365. Please visit indigenousaction.org to read their page and support their work. Excerpt. This is a transmission from a future that will not happen, from a people who do not exist. Rethinking the Apocalypse, an Indigenous Anti-Futurist Manifesto. Readable PDF, printable zine PDF. Quote, the end is near, or has it come and gone before? An ancestor. Why can we imagine the ending of the world, yet not the ending of colonialism? We live the future of a past that is not our own. It is a history of utopian fantasies and apocalyptic idealization. It is a pathogenic global social order of imagined futures built upon genocide, enslavement, ecocide, and total ruination. What conclusions are to be realized in a world constructed of bones and empty metaphors? A world of fetishized endings calculated amidst the collective fiction of virulent specters. From religious tones to fictionalized scientific entertainment, each imagined timeline constructed so predictably, beginning, middle, and ultimately the end. Inevitably in this narrative, there's a protagonist fighting an enemy other, a generic appropriation of African Haitian spirituality, a zombie. And spoiler alert, it's not you or me. So many are eagerly ready to be the lone survivors of the zombie apocalypse. So these are interchangeable metaphors, this zombie other, this apocalypse. These empty metaphors, this linearity, only exist within the language of nightmares. They are at once part of the apocalyptic imagination and impulse. This way of living or culture is one of domination that consumes all for its own benefit. It is an economic and political reordering to fit a reality resting on pillars of competition, ownership, and control in pursuit of profit and permanent exploitation. It professes freedom, yet its foundation is set on lands stolen while its very structure is built by stolen lives. It is this very culture that must always have an enemy other to lay blame, to lay claim, to affront, enslave, and murder. A subhuman enemy that any and all forms of extreme violence are not only permitted, but expected to be put upon. If it doesn't have an immediate other, it meticulously constructs one. This other is not made from fear, but its destruction is compelled by it. This other is constituted from apocalyptic axioms and permanent misery. This othering, this Wetiko disease, is perhaps best symptomatized in its simplest stratagem, in that of our silenced remakening. They are dirty, they are unsuited for life, they are unable, they are incapable, they are disposable, they are non-believers, they are unworthy, they are made to benefit us, they hate our freedom, they are undocumented, they are queer, they are Black, they are indigenous, they are less than, they are against us, until finally they are no more. In this constant mantra of violence reframed, it's either you or it's them. It is the other who is sacrificed for an immortal and cancerous continuity. It is the other who is poisoned, who is bombed, who is left quietly beneath the rubble. This way of unbeing, which has infected all aspects of our lives, which is responsible for the annihilation of entire species, the detoxification of oceans, air, and earth, the clear cutting and burning of whole forests, mass incarceration, the technological possibility of world-ending warfare, and raising the temperatures on a global scale. This is the deadly politics of capitalism, its pandemic. An ending that has come before. The physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual invasion of our lands, bodies, and minds to settle and to exploit is colonialism. Ships sailed on poisoned winds and bloodied tides across oceans pushed with a shallow breath and impulse to bondage. Millions upon millions of lives were quietly extinguished before they could name their enemy. 1492, 1918, 2020. Biowarfare blankets, the slaughter of our relative, the buffalo, the damming of life-giving rivers, the scorching of untarnished earth, the forced marches, the treated imprisonment, coercive education through abuse and violence, the day-to-day post-war, post-genocide, trading post-colonial humiliation of our slow mass suicide on the altar of capitalism, work, income, pay rent, drink, fuck, breed, retire, die. It's on the roadside, it's on sale at Indian markets, serving drinks at the casino, restocking bashas. It's nice Indians behind you. These are the gifts of infesting manifest destinies. This is that future imaginary our captors would have us perpetuate and be a part. The merciless imposition of this dead world was driven by an idealized utopia as Charnel House. It was for our own good, an act of civilization, killing the Indian, killing our past and with it our future, saving the man, imposing another past and with it another future. These are the apocalyptic ideals of abusers, racists, and heteropatriarchs. The doctrinal blind faith of those who can only see life through a prism, a fractured kaleidoscope of an endless and total war. It's an apocalyptic that colonizes our imaginations and destroys our past and future simultaneously. It is a struggle to dominate human meaning and all existence. This is the futurism of the colonizer, the capitalist. It is at once every future ever stolen by the plunderer, the warmonger, and the rapist. This has always been about existence and non-existence. It is apocalypse actualized, and with the only certainty being a deathly end, colonialism is a plague. Our ancestors understood that this way of being could not be reasoned or negotiated with, that it could not be mitigated or redeemed. They understood that the apocalyptic only exists in absolutes. Our ancestors dreamt against the end of the world. Many worlds have gone before this one. Our traditional histories are tightly woven with the fabric of the birthing and ending of worlds. Through these cataclysms, we have gained many lessons that have shaped who we are and how we are to be with one another. Our ways of being are informed through finding harmony through and from the destruction of worlds, the elliptic, birth, death, rebirth. We have an unknowing of histories upon histories of the world that is part of us. It is the language of the cosmos. It speaks in prophecies long carved in the scars where our ancestors dreamed. It is the ghost dance, the 7 fires, the birth of the white buffalo, the 7th generation. It is the 5 suns. It is written in stone near O'Reilly and beyond. These prophecies are not just predictive, they have also been diagnostic and instructive. We are the dreamers dreamt by our ancestors. We have traversed all time between the breaths of our dreams. We exist at once with our ancestors and unbirthed generations. Our future is held in our hands. It is our mutuality and interdependence. It is our relative. It is in the creases of our memories, folded gently by our ancestors. It is our collective dream time, and it is now, then, tomorrow, yesterday. The anti-colonial imagination isn't a subjective reaction to colonial futurisms. It is anti-settler future. Our life cycles are not linear. Our future exists without time. It is a dream, uncolonized. This is the indigenous anti-future. We are not concerned with how our enemies name their dead world or how they recognize or acknowledge us or these lands. We are not concerned with reworking their ways of managing control or honoring their dead agreements or treaties. They will not be compelled to end the destruction that their world is predicated upon. We do not plead with them to end global warming, as it is the conclusion of their apocalyptic imperative, and their life is built upon the death of Mother Earth. We bury the right wing and the left wing together in the earth they are so hungry to consume. The conclusion of the ideological war of colonial politics is that indigenous peoples always lose unless we lose ourselves. Capitalists and colonizers will not lead us out of their dead futures. Apocalyptic idealization is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It is the linear world ending from within. Apocalyptic logic exists within a spiritual, mental, and emotional dead zone that also cannibalizes itself. It is the dead risen to consume all life. Our world lives when their world ceases to exist. As indigenous anti-futurists, we are the consequence of the history of the colonizers' future. We are the consequence of their war against Mother Earth. We will not allow the specter of the colonizer, the ghosts of the past, to haunt the ruins of this world. We are the actualization of our prophecies. This is the reemergence of the world of cycles. This is our ceremony. Between silent skies, the world breathes again and the fever subsides. The land is quiet, waiting for us to listen. When there are less distractions, we go to the place where our ancestors emerged. And there, our voice. There is a song older than worlds here. It heals deeper than the colonizer's blade could ever cut. And there, our voice. We were always healers. This is the first medicine. Colonialism is a plague. Capitalism is pandemic. These systems are anti-life. They will not be compelled to cure themselves. We will not allow these corrupted, sickened systems to recuperate. We will spread. We are the antibodies. Addendum. In our past, your future, it was the unsystematic, non-linear attacks on vulnerable critical infrastructure, such as gas utilities, transportation corridors, power supplies, communication systems, and more that made settler colonialism an impossibility on these lands. Our organizing was cellular. It required no formal movements. Ceremony is our liberation. Our liberation is ceremony. We honored our sacred teachings, our ancestors, and coming generations. We took credit for nothing. We issued no communiques. Our actions were our propaganda. We celebrated the death of leftist solidarity and its myopic, apocalyptic romanticism. We demanded nothing from capitalists, colonizers. Thank you for visiting indigenousaction.org to read their full page and support the work they're doing. You can follow more related links from our messages at t.me/s/intuitivepublicradio/53065 and intuitive.pub/text for April 4th, 2020. I meant to read excerpts from the above link, but as happens at times, the energy in my body said that reading it all out loud was the best way for me to absorb it effectively. Often I only get the first reading. I'm glad I read this. Thank you, Amy Lilith, for posting it.